Okay, students, so in this video we'll be discussing about two concepts. One is about exchange of respiratory gases in our system, and second one is transport of the respiratory gases. Exchange means, because when we say exchange and of respiratory gases, suppose we are trying to define what is breathing. You should understand that breathing, if we say that intake of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide, that is not totally correct statement, because there is no filter in our nose so that only oxygen will go in and only carbon dioxide will come out. So basically when we say breathing, so when we are breathing, we are actually taking in air. So there are number of gases present in that air. So breathing means intake of air rich in oxygen and giving out of air or exhaling air which is rich in carbon dioxide. So basically how breathing take place, that I will discuss in another video. Now we should understand the exchange of respiratory gases in this way. Suppose this is an alveoli or alveolus. You know that inside the lungs there are numerous small air spaces, and these air spaces are called alveoli. Now each alveolus or air sac is lined by single cell thick layer of squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium means flat epithelium, which you got in class 9. So since the wall of the alveolus is lined by very thin single layer of squamous epithelium, so it is in the alveoli that the exchange takes place. Now the group of alveolus or the alveoli, they are surrounded by a network of blood capillaries. So just like you must have seen in your market, some apples are packed inside net, so something like that. So this we can consider as an apple, and this is surrounded on all sides by a network of very fine blood capillaries. Suppose this is the blood capillary. So blood capillaries are also basically, they are single cell in thickness. They are lined with squamous epithelium, single cell thick. So suppose we breathe in air. So this is suppose the inhaled air. Now this inhaled air, it will have a rich concentration of, so it will have high PO2. Now what is this P? Now in a mixture of gases that we will breathe in, oxygen will have its own individual pressure. So that is called the partial pressure of oxygen. So the air that we are inhaling, it has a higher partial pressure of oxygen. Now through this capillary, what is coming in? We are having deoxygenated blood which is coming in. So in this deoxygenated blood, there is low partial pressure of oxygen, because in deoxygenated blood oxygen has been used up by the cells. So due to the difference of pressure, oxygen from the alveoli will diffuse into the blood. So the process by which the exchange of gases takes place is the simple process of diffusion, movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. So in the alveoli, the partial pressure, or you can say concentration of oxygen, was high, and compared to that of deoxygenated blood, so oxygen diffuses in. And in the same deoxygenated blood, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide was high compared to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the inhaled air. So here it was low partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So what basically happens? carbon dioxide will diffuse out from the deoxygenated blood into the alveoli. And as carbon dioxide diffuses out with the other gases, it will be exhaled out. So it will be the exhaled air. So what we are finding, that in the inhaled air there is high partial pressure of oxygen, and in the exhaled air there is high partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and that is basically breathing in air rich in carbon oxygen and breathing out air rich in carbon dioxide. So now that the oxygen has diffused in, so the blood, it has got enriched with oxygen. So now the blood has become oxygenated. So this is your oxygenated blood. So this oxygenated blood will go and near the body cells, so it will take the oxygen to the cells. Now in the body cells also, so as the oxygenated blood is coming, it is having high partial pressure of oxygen, and inside the cell, since the oxygen is being used up for respiration, so there will be low partial pressure of oxygen. So oxygen will diffuse out from the blood into the cells, and in the cells during respiration carbon dioxide is being produced, so there will be high partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and here the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low. So what will happen? Carbon dioxide will diffuse out. So as carbon dioxide diffuses out, now the blood once again becomes deoxygenated. So the deoxygenated blood, it goes back to the lungs. So this is what is happening in the lungs, and this is what is happening in body cells. So basically this is your exchange of respiratory gases in our body. Now how this transport is taking place? So we'll be discussing about two things. One is transport of oxygen, and another one is your transport of carbon dioxide. So basically when oxygen moves in to the blood, in the blood, you know, there are red blood cells. RBCs are the smallest cells of our body, and they have a iron containing protein. So RBCs, they have a protein which is called hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin? Hem means iron, globin means a protein chain. So this hemoglobin compound is there in the RBC. So what hemoglobin does? It has a high affinity for oxygen. So hemoglobin combines with oxygen to form a very unstable compound. I am repeating, unstable compound, which is called oxyhemoglobin. So this compound will be formed when there is a high concentration of oxygen. So oxygen will combine with hemoglobin and it will form oxyhemoglobin, and in the form of oxyhemoglobin the oxygen will get transported. Now most of the oxygen is transported in this form as this compound. Now as the oxyhemoglobin will reach the cells, there is a low amount of oxygen in the cells due to respiration. So this oxyhemoglobin will break. It will break and it will release. Oxyhemoglobin will release oxygen and it will become free. As it becomes free, it will move back to carry more oxygen. So this way reaction occurs in lungs, and this way reaction occurs in the body cells. So this is how most of the oxygen is transported. However, little amount of oxygen is also transported being dissolved in plasma. being dissolved in plasma, blood plasma. So little amount of oxygen is also transported. So these are the two ways by which oxygen is being transported. Now how carbon dioxide is transported? Little amount, there are three ways. So little amount of carbon dioxide is transported by hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, when it goes back, it becomes free and it is trying to go back, it picks up little carbon dioxide, but it cannot transport too much of carbon dioxide because affinity between hemoglobin and carbon dioxide is less. So what will happen? Hemoglobin will combine with carbon dioxide and it will form an unstable compound which is called carbaminohemoglobin. So this, when it will reach the lungs, it will break to release the carbon dioxide and hemoglobin will be free. Then again, little amount is transported as a solution in plasma. So just like you have seen in cold drinks, carbon dioxide is dissolved, like that little amount of carbon dioxide will be transported as a solution. It will get dissolved in the water part of plasma and it will get transported as a solution. The third and the most important way by which carbon dioxide is transported, most of the carbon dioxide is, so most of carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate ions. How it forms? So carbon dioxide will combine with water. This is a chemical reaction. Forming a solution is a physical process where carbon dioxide will simply get dissolved. But here carbon dioxide will react with water present in plasma and it will form carbonic acid H2CO3, which later on ionizes as hydrogen ion and bicarbonate ions. So most of the carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate ions. So these are the different ways by which exchange of respiratory gases takes place and transport of the respiratory gases takes place in human beings. In the next video, I will be discussing how the process of breathing takes place, inhalation and exhalation.